We're inside an hour away from race number 1, and Festivity has been heavily backed. It is the best backed multi-runner over the entire 2 meetings, Trentham or Gore today. $1.80 Michael McNabb for Jamie Richards and the Te Akau team. Support for Exuberant at $3.80. Stephen Marsh and Jason Waddell, he gave the horse a nice push. And O-Charm, the third favourite at $6. And Michael Pitton said we wouldn't be here with Magnolia Man unless we thought we could get some money. And if they happen to run second to Festivity, it won't do the horses any harm going forward either. Early speed here from O-Charm has been racing in terrific form, winning a course at New Plymouth and Te Araha here, Bevan. So we know where it'll be. And On Show's got a bit of class about her as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting race, the first. I mapped it with a fair bit of speed into it, so I thought this first race will be run at true tempo. I had Durham Laird probably getting across to lead O-Charm to sit outside, and then the question mark will be how much positivity they show with Festivity, because that'll be the key race maker, really. As I say, a very good morning to you, A-Rod. Welcome in to the team here on course. This horse looked exceptional on debut.
And at the trials prior to that as well was terrific. Both of those wide margin performances, but does come up against a few here who have performed in group company. So it will be an acid test, the first time on the road for this filly as well, but she looks really good. I've got it clearly on top here, Bevan.
It can be a trick sometimes at Taupo because it is a leader biased racetrack. Just with that tight turn they can skip away, but look, she had them off the bridle a long way from home, so she obviously was running along nicely enough to put the others under pressure, and then showed a further kick.
And coasted at the end of this race as well, was terrific. Tango Dancer, who ran seconds, come out and placed midweek as well. So it's good form, but it is maiden form. And there's a few here, like we say, who are group performed as well. So you look at horses like Exuberant. You only have to go back 4 starts and see this horse running second to behind Catalyst in a Group 3 Northland Breeders' Stakes. On Show was third to Carly and Jennifer Eccles at Hastings. So there is decent form among it. Rockjar beat Mascarpone earlier on this season as well. But I think she's pretty special. Festivity. Okay, I've got it clearly on top.
You've got Festivity on top, and behind Festivity?
Yeah, in behind. So I've gone the 2, 5 and 8 Exuberant. I thought O-Charm was okay last time out on speed as well, and like you say, it is part of that speed factor in this race. Okay,
I was with Festivity. If you want a speed map special on the day, I think Exuberant's going to get a lovely run with good tempo in front of it. It should get the 1-1 spot and have every chance in the run. Magnolia Man, you can only win, and that was a very good performance last time. They took off before nominations, and the horse kept up a very strong gallop. And yes, On Show does have very good form, this particular horse. I thought its quote in the market was a nice each way value bet, possibly in the first on the program. But I think we all agree, Greg, in the first on Wellington Cup Day, Te Akau to get underway with Festivity.
Yep, punters will be all over that. Let's have a look at race number 2, 65, 1200 metres, and Sword of Fire. We just heard from Lauren Brennan, very happy with where this horse is at. Danielle Johnson's been on at the trials, and there's no doubt the talent's there. Has come back from that tendon injury from Singapore, and class factor here. Should be winning this. $8 about Alonzo, Regal Reward the same. Plenty of speed here. Regal Reward, Mertens, Otavio and Fibonacci all expected to go forward here, Bevan.
Yeah, they will go forward. I'm not sure they're going to burn though. Fibonacci at times can be erratic, but second up you'd expect an improved performance from it. Octavio in recent times hasn't really been as aggressively ridden as we've seen in the past. So I didn't see masses of speed in this particular race. Across the program, this is possibly the race that doesn't quite have the quality compared to the remainder of the program, and I think that is why Sword of Fire has come up so short. Aiden, it's a horse that's coming back out of Singapore. The trials have been good, and it's probably in the right race, but do you get too excited at about $1.60, about $1.70?
It's a race that lacks depth, no question. Fibonacci won this race last year, so comes back to defend that year. Fourth to Shoes on Mine at the trials, and then a really good second and behind Probabeel as well. But we haven't seen this horse race since September of 2018. That's a long time ago. A narrow Singapore maiden winner back in August of 2018, but yeah, it's a race that I'm sort of pretty keen on leaving alone, actually. It'd be a good guide to races later in the day. My number's 5, 4, 3 and 7, though.
I'm pretty similar. Look, it's the default default selection in the race, sort of fire on what we've seen at the trials coming back out of Singapore. Outside of that, look, Mertens is a fair horse, and I mapped it to get the nice run. Of course, there were issues last time when lost the rider, but that Heart of Stone form is pretty solid with what we saw midweek, albeit the horse didn't finish that race, but was well backed in the market against it. It's been close up behind Go James, who I've got a lot of time for, so I thought Mertens outside of the 5 Swords of Fire. Yes, Fibonacci has had success here, and second up, this is probably primed to run a race here this afternoon, and I thought the 4 Alonso for the Pitmans. I think the South Alonso will have a major hand to play across the meeting here this afternoon, Greg. So I think we're on the first 2 shorties on the program here at Trentham. That's exactly how it played out on day number 1.
Yeah, it did. What did you have? 5 or 6 of the first favourites all winning there. They call it the Punters Graveyard. It certainly wasn't last Saturday. Let's have a look at the third, an 82-1600, where Lincoln Raiders come up favourite 380, just over Cinerama. Spoke to Alan Sherrick earlier in the week, and he was very confident with where the daughter of Darcy Brahma and She Sensationals at. You've got also support for Scarlowy and Peloton at $9 for Vincent Colgan. Third on the program. Where are they likely to land in this one? Peloton, Iron Eagle and Blue on Black. They're all in the green here, Bevan.
Yeah, I think they ensure this is running along quite nicely. I think Blue and Black will find the front peloton to the outside. Iron Eagle may give up the inside and take the trailing position. That's the only real question from the speed map for mine. This is what is normally the Giro Cup. It's been run earlier on in the program, and they've kept the name for the last race as the Giro, but this is the true Giro Cup on the program, and it is a hot race. There's a lot of very strong emerging horses in this particular race. You've got Lincoln Raider, Cinerama, who's been spruiked highly and really living up to that rep now, and Scarlowy. He's been set for this race from the beginning of his preparation, so he'll be another competitor. 3 to look at here, Aidan. First of those is Cinerama. This is a horse that Alan, from the first time we saw this horse, suggested it's a black type performer. It got the job done here on an off-track condition, so I think a little of the top end was taken away from a few, but the prior win was outstanding at Awapuni, and Alan was keen on Thursday. Yeah,
absolutely, and that prior win beat home Lincoln Raider and Hartley, and obviously with that rating 82 win last time out, stays in the same grade, and does just come in a little bit worse at the weights, 3 kilograms worse than Hartley and 2.5 worse than Lincoln Raider. Mum was a good one, wasn't she? She's sensational for Alan Sharrock, and he's developing this one pretty much the same way. I thought Lincoln Raider was good in this race, and I thought he was the horse to beat. And you know my love affair with Lincoln Raider anyhow. Yeah,
well, I'm with you. I do really, really like the horse, and you saw a couple of the competitors against Cinerama there. You'll see more than one of the competitors in this race that we're about to show you. This is Scarlowy running second at Awapuni on Jan the 4th. You'll also again pick up Lincoln Raider and Hartley. Hartley's disappointing on this occasion. It was a really off performance for him, but you can forgive them one. Lincoln Raider just got denied a run at around about the 150 metre mark. The winner's often gone at that point, and Scarlowy, the little chestnut, comes off heels and chases hard. So again, there's not a lot across 3 or 4 of these horses. Yeah,
Scarlowy's an interesting horse, and 5th up for the preparation. You'd think he'd measure up here. He has beaten home Lincoln Raider, so you give him a little bit of a tick for that. But again, Lincoln Raider looks to be in great form and gets back to this track where he's 3 from 4, so I'm going to sway that way.
The other one I wanted to show you, and it was more to get your thoughts on this particular horse, is the one right down the bottom of the book, an Iron Eagle. Now, this horse is paying 14s. Now, it led up at Ellerslie in a good strong 72, and I thought it battled really gamely. Prior to that, it was a good winner at Ellerslie again in strong 65 company. I just wondered if this was a little bit of a forgotten horse in this market. I know it steps up into 82 grade, but look, Ellerslie form's good form.
Yeah, it is, and the race it won 2 starts back was a really strong race as well to finish the program up there that day as a big upset winner too at a big price. And then this run wasn't bad either, in behind Vici as well. So a couple of really nice runs from an emerging horse. Just how he measures up here, I'm just not so sure. And the other thing is, my concern actually was a lack of speed here for Lincoln Raider. But if you're seeing it run at a true pace, then I'm going to make him my bet of the day, because I really like him. He's one of my favourites favourites. He is my favourite horse going around at the moment. I've got him ahead of Hartley. Hey Tiger, whose form has been very good in some good races, and Cinerama is in great form. How do you see it, Bev?
Well, I'm not going to disagree, Aidan. I'm a fan of Lincoln Raider as well. I expected him to win last start. I think that track just tripped him up, but he's a very, very smart horse, this, and you get the feeling he's really primed to run a race here this afternoon. Cinerama. I've been with this horse for a long period of time. The money goes on, you follow, because she's delivered in the last couple of starts. Scarlo is a nice horse, and look, Hartley's better than that last start performance. Expect the big boy to be running a race here this afternoon. Great race, race number 3, Greg. Quality horses go around in our field.
Yeah, punters going again here too, as is often the case with the Sherrick team. 3 times more money on Cinerama than on Lincoln Raider for what is effectively the Duro Cup. Let's have a look at race number 4 and the market for it. Sees equal favourites and almost 3 in a line here. Chasu Bao, Credit Manager and Motivation. $3.90, $3.90 and $4 over the 1400. This rating 72 event, and further down Acceleration and Langkawi both at $9. Interesting race, the 4th on the program. They are likely to land like this with Form Pro. Langkawi to go forward, and we've seen him perform on a Premier Day in the past.
Yeah, I agree completely with that speed map. This is the first of the races where I saw a complete lack of speed, and Mick Jean is the default leader. I came to the conclusion that those drawn out wide and Langkawi and Acceleration will either make this race or make it a sit and sprint. But from those draws, if they decide to go forward, there'll be more speed than we expect. If they don't and decide to go back, then McJean just gets it soft. He's our secret, you'd imagine, will get the trailing position, and I had therefore Credit Manager 3 back the fence. We're going to look at 3 here as well. The first of those is at the top of the book for the O'Sullivan and Scott team. That is Chasu Bao. Jason Waddell in the saddle. Of course, it has to carry the 60 here, Aidan, which is enough weight, but there's not a big spread across the most promising horses in this race at the top of the book. And look, I always note when the Sullivan and Scott team bring a horse this far, it's generally here to win, as we saw first on the first Saturday of the carnival.
Yeah, the second horse in this race is Gino Severini, who's gone on to win since, and yeah, well, he doesn't win them out of turn. Sometimes you just question just how genuine he is, but he's in a really winnable race here. He's won 3 of 25. His last win's back into December of 2018, and he is up 5 kilograms on that race as well. But the 2 runs back have been solid, and you think just in this field, he's got to be a decent contender.
The second we want to have a look at is a good horse. Make no mistake about this fella. He will go to open handicap grade, and that is Credit Manager. He put a couple of very dominant wins together at Otek and Awapuni. Then went to Awapuni. Blue on black, sat right on speed, right outside the lead. And he had to come from back under Tamai Taira, and he's got the frame to really develop, even next preparation as a 5-year-old. I think you'll see the best of this horse. He's got a fair bit of quality, this horse, Aidan. He's getting the weight claim. He's got a good draw. I'd expect him to be right there in the mix. Yeah,
and Tamai's really clicked with him as well. He's never finished worse than 3rd, second up or deeper into a preparation. I do like that about him. So he's honest, he's consistent, and he finds himself in a winnable race. He's a contender without question.
And the other one is, again, at the top of the book, and that is Motivation. Now, I know this horse has been set for a long period of time post the win at Hastings for this particular race. Look, the speed in the race is certainly against Motivation, but we remember this horse's performances through the Hawke's Bay Cup Carnival. He has an electric turn of foot, but it's just a worry about how far he can be brought into the race with the tempo we read into it.
Absolutely. This was a sprint at Hastings to stay in behind Swiss Watch, but he's hit the line really nicely. He's a willing horse. He's really performing well for John Barry since he's changed stables and joined John. He's only won 2 of 17, which is a little bit of a concern, but on the strength of his form lines, I was happy to have him on top here. The concern, though, is just this absolute lack of speed. You know, I don't think I've mapped the race with this little speed, and that'll come down to jockey intent and who's going to take the bull by the horns. I've gone Motivation on top ahead of Chasu Bao, throwing in the 6 Giant Gem and the 2 Credit Manager. I'm
across to the top 3 in the book. I went with Credit Manager. He's a real emerging talent, this horse, over the 3 Motivation. Chasu Bao, and outside of that, look, if Acceleration, if Sam Collett is aggressive from the bounce, I think there's a spot forward for Acceleration, and also shown us a fair bit over a long period of time. And if it gets forward in the run, maybe outside lead, then I think it's a player. But yeah, I'm right around the top of the book here, Greg, in 2-3-1 as my top selections in race number 4.
Beautiful, thanks for that, Bevan. Let's go on to the first of the features. New Zealand Bloodstock, Desert Gold Stakes at Group 3 level. Good battle for favouritism. I think they'll get pretty close to parity here, these two. Loire from a good gate of 5, Michael McNabb for Tony Pike, and Jennifer Eccles, $2.15. We've just had a conversation with Sean Ritchie. He said, for us to be getting further up to 2,000 and beyond, potentially the Oaks, we need to look after her to an extent today. Not saying she can't win, but she'll be ridden back in the field and more than likely with one run. That could put Loire 5, 6, 7 lengths in front of her, and therefore I think, Bevan, this could dictate how close they get to favouritism. I'm picking they'll be 240, 220, 240 a pair, I reckon, by the time we jump here. And I think Loire might even switch to favouritism by the time we do jump.
I agree. I think Loire will run favourite in this particular race. There's the speed map. I thought it was a little bit of a mess for me when I was trying to map it. What I thought for sure was that Queen Kamada would find the front. Trifolium, last start, they tried to ride back, and it actually, well, 2 starts ago they rode her seriously back, and then they trailed up last time. So I think this horse is becoming a little bit more adaptable in the run. So I don't think they're really going to push the button on Trifolium. So the other horse that I thought might be the default outside leader is Porricini Charm or Celine Leon. Maybe one that pushes forward and adds a bit of speed into it. But I just had fear here, Aidan, in this race. I didn't know really how quickly they were going to run this.
Being a big field, that normally adds pressure to it. But there's an Oaks further down the track here at Trentham in a couple of months' time, and so trainers are trying to teach those horses to relax and just settle in position, like you say, with Fraser Rec, with Trifolium as well. So it will be interesting, and we are getting that impression from Sean Ritchie that they will do precisely that with Jennifer Eccles.
Now, I know trials are trials, but have a look at this, because some trials are a little bit different than this is. This is the trial of Loire at Cambridge on the 6th of January. You would have seen it on the first call. In fact, we're not going to bring that to you. You've already seen it this morning once already. So
superb trial.
Yeah, what do you make of it? I mean, you just cruise on and buy like that. That's just crazy.
It's a stunning trial.
Yeah, well,
and Figure winner who goes around in our Thorndon's another one in behind. So it's a super trial by a Group 1 winner who's coming back. Just what you want to see leading into a race where she has been freshened.
Okay, this is what we saw on the first call. This is the video shown by the boys on Thursday night, and it's very, very relevant, clearly being a Group 1 for the 3-year-old fillies. And you've got Loire being tracked up by Jennifer Eccles. Loire's got an exceptional turn of foot, and Jennifer Eccles can get there very, very quickly. She's got an explosive turn of foot as well.
Yeah, well, she's a length and a half away at this point as well, isn't she? And she gets pretty close in the end, so perhaps she's got that little bit better turn of foot, but Loire is going places, and we know she's in great order from the trial that we've seen. If you haven't seen it yet, log on to loveracing.nz and click onto that trial, because that is a pearler.
Oh, I thought she found again at the line. Jennifer Eccles had a look.
Yeah, she did.
And then Loire came away again, so I think she's going to stretch up beautifully over ground. Is it the top two?
Yeah, it is. I've gone with Loire on top, just on the strength of that last start with the trial leading into this and the better draw. I think if you'd switch the draws around, probably my numbers would change around as well. Jennifer Eccles in for second. I really like what Glenda Flora was doing last time at Ellerslie. That's in behind Two Illicit and Dragon Leap. The form looks outstanding, and Showbill just had no luck in the 8-carat caught wide last time out as an improver, because the Eulogy run was pretty good.
It was. I'm exactly with Aidan actually, which is a little bit scary. 1 to beat 2. Yeah, I've got a big watch on the 8 here team in Grand de Florif, the James and Wellwood team. I love what I've seen across the first 2 starts. She may just find the top level of our 3-year-old fillies with a little bit more racing, and she's got a draw. I'm not sure exactly where she finds, but if she just jumped out, she might get 2 back 1 off, and from there she'll have a look at them. And then the 4 Showbill, I think, shows us a little bit of quality. So with Aidan, 1, 2, 8 and 4 in the first of our features, Greg.
Yep, looking forward to that one, Bevan. And we're up to race number 6. Here's a look at the market for the Shoe Clinic Premier, Prince Albert. We spoke to Jason Waddell earlier in the day. Got a lot of confidence in this horse. Don't Know Jack, $4.40. That's the one I'm keen on. Jonathan Park's doing the riding, trained by Mark Olligan. We know what his abilities as a horseman are, and he'll give this horse, or have it there in the right condition. Platinum Road further down at $6.50. Leith Innes. Let's have a look at the speed map here, Bevan, for the 6th. And the Southerner, the Smiths, come north with a team, and Splendior's one of those, and she'll be in front according to this.
Yeah, well, with the scratching of Dragon Storm in this particular race, that just sucked all the speed out of this. Splendior is the obvious favourite, and I thought with Dragon Storm coming out, they probably push forward, Don't Know Jack, to get forward and maybe sit outside the speed. I mapped Prince Albert in a nice enough position, probably 3 back 1 off, a similar sort of position. Aidan we saw at Ellerslie, and gee, this is some performance. He put them to bed before they'd really entered the straight. This horse was going so well, and he just seems to have found his mojo after being a little bit disappointing through a few runs earlier on.
He'd shown talent right at the start of his career, and we were expecting sort of performances like this, but he's just never really done it. He gets into a maiden win at Rotorua, wins that okay, a really good run for second at Te Rapa, and then no one saw this coming. Well, certainly not I anyhow. This was just a big win by a horse who, you know, just wondered just about his endeavour. Well, he showed he was running really strongly through the line here, and if he brings this sort of form, then he's got to be awfully hard to beat.
The other one, the clear obvious one, is Don't Know Jack, who was second and behind Proletariat, then came here to Trentham and did all the donkey work to drag the horses up to a tearaway leader, and he just never sat down. And then he's had a fair break in between runs. Obviously, I think this is a run to get him here. And maybe surprised a few with just how forward he was and just how competitive he was in this particular race.
Yeah, and so this is a race where he's beating home Red River Rock, Humble Pie, Johnny Lincoln, all acceptors for this race as well. So the form looks okay. The Trentham win here on the track over 2,400 metres, 2 starts back was good, like you say. So he's a horse who's got to be on the radar. He's on third line of betting for mine. I've gone with Prince Albert on top. Yeah, actually he's going to be promoted up to second with Dragon Storm. I think I've had a couple of these come out, so my numbers will come up. The other one I was keen on was Humble Pie. I think it's been okay in the last couple, but yeah, it just defaults here to Prince Albert.
I'm going to make him the best on the program for mine, just on that win. Sometimes when they're that big, you worry about the next particular start, but he's actually been in good form for the last 3 starts. You'd have to say he's holding it. On that, he will step up and be very difficult to beat. If Don't Know Jack looks him in the eye at the 200 metre mark, it'll be interesting, because this horse is very tough, and I think probably a player in 12 months in the Cup. 5 Humble Pie going nice enough in the Forning Platinum Road, my next best selection. But yeah, I saw it between those two, Greg. Really, they have the form. If they run up to what they've done in recent times, they should be the two right in the mix late.
If you had a bet early on that, Spring Delight 25%, the deduction there, and $1,000 and $2,000 on Prince Albert, nice and early on. First of our Group 1s, the JR&N Burkett Telegraph. It is at Group 1 level. Julius, if you listen to Jason Waddell this morning, it's the only one you'll be backing. $4.60. Winter Bridesmaid, he described her as, $3.80. Avantage, he had a lot of respect for, $4.20. Opie Bossum for Jamie Richards. And the Southerner, Sensei, well, he might get the drifts because no one's really talking about him, $7.50. She's All Mine, the winner of the Stewards, of course, $15. Rory Hutchings doing the riding for Daniel Miller in the Precious One at $41. The last start, Wingatui winner. Speed for the first leg of the late quaddie will be an enormous pot for the She's All Mine, Julius, Speedy Meaty, Dawn Patrol. It should be hot early on here, Bevan.
Well, I think the obvious 2 things are Speedy Meaty and She's All Mine. I think they get there, and that may just give Jason Waddell the opportunity to find a very similar position to Ellerslie, maybe in the 1-1. Dawn Patrol trailing, possibly, or 2 back 1 off. And that, for me, gives Endless Drama an absolute peach of a run in this year's Telegraph. It's a race, Aidan. Over the last few years, we've had some hot horses come. Melody Bell, most notably last year, and she just wasn't on her game that day from a wide draw. But it's been a race in recent times here at Trentham where you have to be somewhere close to the rail and somewhere close to speed. It may change today, but that's just the history over the last couple of years.
It might well change today, but yeah, the railway form hasn't always stacked up so well into this race, but that's where all the money is in the market this time round. But what a race this Telegraph looks to be, with all those main contenders, the Juliuses and Winter Brides and Evelina and Dawn Patrols out of the railway. You've got Avantage, you bypassed that, was terrific in the Hallmark on Boxing Day, and then we've got those other horses, the unknowns, She's All Mine, and the Southerners who really do have a decent hand in this. Enzo's Lad looking for 3, and Sensei, who was so good in this race last year. I thought he comes in 4 kilograms better than the Precious One from Wingatui. I just thought he was a horse who was knocking on the door here as well.
well, this is the race to look at. Julius found the right position, and then Jay Waddell dominated the race. G's a big, strong boy, and he may just find exactly the same position in the run here. You've got Dawn Bajol sneaking up the inside. You've got Evelina weaving through the pack. You've got Endless Drama, who had to go back from the draw. It was a case of where to look. The big boy won, but it was a race run to suit him, and gee, there was some flashing red lights in behind.
Yeah, it wasn't a fast run railway, so it'll be interesting to see if they do go a little bit harder here in the Telegraph or not. I think they'll run it quicker. That's generally the case here at Trentham. They'll run, you know, a fast time. There is that tailwind, which is gusting a little bit as well, so that would impact on that too. Evelina was really good at that race, running a 32.5, closing 600 against what was a front runner's bias. So in the race, or pattern at least. So yeah, I think she's got to be a chance at a big price for mine.
I didn't even mention Winter Bride, who set 3 wide on speed, albeit just to sit and sprint, and kept on finding the line.
Absolutely, and you're getting Ryan Maloney fresh from a win in a $2 million race in Brisbane, coming over to ride her as well. And yeah, I think she's a key contender. I'm going to stick with the Railway Quinella, I think. So, although I've got a lot of respect around Avantage.
Okay, Advantage Evelina, just in the mix as well.
Yeah, Avantage is a horse I'm really liking here. I think, you know, just that wide barrier just gone against her to some extent there, but she's there as well. I don't want to be leaving Evelina out at the big price, because, you know, she was dynamite late in that railway.
No, I'm getting a little bit outside the square. On my speed map, I think Endless Drama gets an absolute peach of a trip, and a trip that suits him right down to the ground. He does have an explosive turn on the foot. He's one of the only horses to beat Melody Bell in his career. I thought he was really, really good at LSE, albeit he was 8 lengths off them. He just got in an impossible position from that draw. Today, he gets everything in his favour. $21, I couldn't say no to that. I'm going to have him on top over Julius. Expression really interests me. I think she has all the ability to be right in the mix in a race like this, and probably gets a nice run up the fence. We'll need some luck, but again, at a big price, I don't count out this very exciting horse for the Lowry and Cullen team, and they've been here and done it before, and I just couldn't get away from Evelina in that run in the railway. That was spectacular. She's a horse that'll probably get back, I'd imagine, and have to flush through them, but on that turn of foot, I'd say yes, and I'm leaving out Enzo's Lab, which sort of breaks my heart. And Sensei ran one of the, well, if not the quickest sectional in 20 years, I heard from the Form Pro man this morning at Riccarton. So if he's on his A game, he's certainly quick enough. It is one hell of a race. I've left out Avantage, Winter Bride, Greg. Pick your spot. I'm going for some value. Endless Drama at $21.
Well found. Horse good enough to run a Group 1 placing course in the Stradbroke in Australia, and had no luck in the railway, and they were pretty keen on it that day, Tony Pike and his Cambridge base. Let's move on to the Harcourts Thorndon, again at Group 1 level. Rock on wood. What a story this would be for the Elliott family. $3.60. Windspell got his Group 1 in the Captain Cook, $5.50. Shadows Cast, defending champion, $6. On the Rocks, already a mile winner of the highest order at $9. Mongolian Marshal at the same price. Yearn at 14s and $3.70 for Sam Spratt. A quality mare, and further down, Dark Princess, Secret Allure, 51s and 19s respectively. Where are they going to land in the Harcourts Thorndon of 2020? The Mitigators, a few that have come out of this race from last year. It's one, was 8th in the race, the Mitigator last year. Vigor winner, a great run in the Copelands, and Lauren Brennan very happy with where he's at. This is a race full of depth here, Bevan.
It is, and the speed map says it all. The Mitigator leads, Vigor winner sits to the outside. Shadows Cast is an interesting horse, exactly what they do with him, but look, he won it off the front last year, so I'm not sure why they would go too far back when they've got a draw like that. Sitting in the 1-1, why wouldn't they take that sort of opportunity? That makes them very competitive again. Great to have 1-2 back. Windspell is in the race and picked up that Group 1 win here in the Captain Cook. And then, Aidan, we have, look, a horse that has to do it today, but he's pretty exciting, and he was undone by the track conditions last time in Rock on Wood, and he seems to be the biggest play on the program.
Absolutely, he's beautifully placed into this race as well. I'm interested to know where you've got Yearn in that speed map though. Is she a potential horse who can sit outside the leader here? Well,
I had her back, and then I drew a square around both Yearn and Windspell and thought, well, there is an opportunity for both of those horses to go forward, and if they do, I think they can find a spot, and if they get a nice spot forward, Yearn always flies under that radar, and there is absolutely no reason why on what it's done in its career. It's been spectacular, this horse, and I always hark back to those days at Hawke's Bay when she sort of first emerged.
Yeah.
And through the carnival, she had the best turn of foot of any horse basically throughout the program. So yeah, I had her back, and then I did draw a little box around them saying, well, I think there's an opportunity for riders to maybe take a spot forward. Let's look through 3 runners in the race. Windspell for Jason Woodhill and the Benner Wynyard team. We also see Shadows Cast here and Vernon Me. A-Rod, Shadow Cast does what he did, or did what he does. In this particular race, he's just brave, just a horse that you find hard not to love. And Windspell, well, he got due rewards on this occasion.
He did. You can see there Vernon Me as well in the trail coming off, and runs an okay race for 6th as well. In this race, we're seeing True Enough finish 3rd. He's come out and won a Zabeel Classic. And Tiptronic was close up and behind them. He won by a margin when last produced as well. So the form is strong. We've got last year's Thorndon Mile winner being beaten by a Group 1 winner who now maybe he's got his foot in the till, and he knows how it's done. He could well be a threat again. And geez, Jason Woodell's riding in such good form and has a really strong book. He was on Shadows Cast this day last year. He's with Windspell as he was in the Captain Cook, and he's been getting it right just as he has been with his tactics all season. On the rocks, now a 3-horse field, you think, well, how does this really sort of place this horse going to Group 1? But he carried the car park and the stand and just put him away quickly, and as we saw through the previous season, the little horse really can. Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a pipe opener. So this is a first up run. Just get him ready for a Thorndon Mile. And so he wasn't expected. He was the rank outsider of this race, albeit only a 3-horse race. And he's just cruised up alongside them, and he's doing his work beautifully. He's won a Ritual Mile this time last year, then gone on and won a Herbie Dyke Stakes. He's proven at this level, and I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of on the rocks today. I think he's a win contender for sure. Now let's have a look on Rock on Wood. This is the rising star in the CD, really at the 1600 metres. He is nominated to go to Te Rapa and run over a trip post today. Now, this performance, he goes up. He's still a little bit green. He was only second up this preparation, and he gets beaten. In fact, this is the winner at Pony. Sorry, we're going back 2 runs. Apologies. Look, he puts him away in a couple of big hops here, A-Rod, and then I think he floats. Spell does come off his back and have a look at him, but I thought he was loafing it, but he's got a spectacular turn of foot. Yeah, and obviously this was pretty similar to sort of weight conditions. Windspell under the claimer this day, did hit the line really strongly in behind him, and then has gone on, whereas Rock on Wood since gone to the Manawatu Challenge takes over the 1400 metres and run a really good race in behind Kiwi Ida, beating home Shadows Cast that day. He is the emerging horse. He's won 6 of 11, and it seems like it's a real target for today. And under set weights and penalties, he's a horse who does seem to be the horse to beat. I've gone with him ahead of Windspell, Shadows Cast and Mongolian Marshall, who just had to work 3 or 4 times in that Zabeel Classic last time out when jumping from 14 to 2,000 metres. Just another tricky barrier draw. Just has me a little bit concerned, but this is some race. We're leaving out track horses as well. Yeah, I'm with Rock on Wood. I think if he gets a split at them, I saw him on Tuesday in his track read, he's ready to go. And he does have an exceptional turn of foot. I think the run at Awapuni, that top end was just taken away from him with the track conditions on that day. Look, I hope he wins, because we need, in the CD, another really, really exciting horse. We've got the great Shadows Cast here, but we need a young one coming through the grades. So he's on top for me, over Windspell for the Benner and Wynyard team. Jason Woodell to do the riding there. Outside of that, I'm going to put Yunin. I just love this horse. She's just so honest, and she is tough. So I think she can run in the money as well. And I can't leave out the big Chestnut, because he's just been oh so brave in recent times. In fact, through his whole career, Greg Shadows Cast. So they're my numbers. I'm going with Rock on Wood. They call him Red. Let's hope he wins today.
3 times more money than any other runner in the race. Bets of 5, couple at 4, another one at 3, all on Rock on Wood in the Harcourts at Thorndon. Let's move on to what the race day is named after. It is the New Zealand Campus of Innovation and Sport Wellington Cup. Just a maze, looking for some recompense after disappointment. Of course, on New Year's Day, 5:50, Sam Spratt rides in front on the speed. Might be the place to be. Defending champion Gorbachev, D&G, runner-up last year, New Zealand Cup winner, the most recent one in November. The Good Fight, $6. Bit of confidence from Sean Ritchie about the way he's been finding the line. And Cade Nielefelter, $6.50 and $2.30. Positioned beautifully at the weights here. Nice gate. Lisa Allpress. Very nice performance last time in the Martin Cup as well. This is the way they line up for the Cup of 2020, Bevan, but it's hard to line them up as in where they're going to land here.
Well, I think the graphic's a little bit wrong with Justin Mays not pushing forward and finding a leading position. Sampson, in recent times, he hasn't been quite as forward in the run as he was in his past, but I found it a little bit of a nightmare to work out exactly where they land. But they do have the entire straight the first time to find a position, so I'd be surprised if they go overly quickly in this year's Cup. The speed might go on from the 800 metres, but in the interim, I think, Aidan, that they're not going to push too many buttons. Justin Mays has now become quite a settled horse who can just rate along nicely in front.
Absolutely. 2,400 metres is his last two, and he's led them up both times. He does look the leader here. I thought Dragonstorm was another factor in that speed as well. And Caden Miller-Fulcher will go forward. They went back from a wide gate last time, drawn beautifully here. The form leading into that last out run was faultless. So I'd love to see her win today.
Yeah, I think Aidan's got a couple of great mates in Caden Miller-Fulcher, so the night will go on for a long time if that horse actually wins. Okay, let's have a look at a couple of the key contenders. Firstly, let's go back to Riccarton, and an emotional day for the team with D&G taking this out, but look, Gorbachev just got too far back in the run. He's probably run as quick as last 600 metres to get home to his position. And the other horse that I'm pretty keen to have a little bit each way on was Dorissimo, who I thought really, really good in this particular race, and I thought not out of a Wellington Cup for sure.
And at the weights comes in beautifully. Only goes up half a kilogram from this, where we're seeing D&G go up 5 and Gorbachev going up 4. So Gorbachev was good. He's run 4th and 3rd in New Zealand Cups in the last couple. Won this race last year. Beat D&G, who went on and ran 4th in a an Auckland Cup. I just wonder about her at the weights. It's a big ask, you know, going up to 59 and with that barrier draw as well, because at some point during the race, they're probably going to have to ask her to work. So, yeah, it's not going to be easy from there. But, you know, I've gone with a good fight. I thought the Auckland Cup run was really good. Also, they did have in Melbourne Cup contention earlier on. Just didn't quite come up in Melbourne in the spring, but I think this time of year, he's ready to go. So I've got him in front of Salsa Faye. I thought it was a horse who would get a lovely run. The runs in Riccarton were first class. Caden Miller-Fulcher and just amazing.
That would be a story, wouldn't it, around the New Zealand racing industry, if a great-granddaughter of Snowy Lupton in his colours could take out the Wellington Cup. And I'm not far from Aidan to say that she is a good each-way chance. I was with the good fight as well, so that's a little bit scary for you at home to take out the race. I just mapped it to get a very, very relaxed, comfortable run just in behind the speed, and should have its opportunity in the straight. Justin Mays very much impressed me across that win at Te Rapa. I thought it was strong through the line, so there'd be no surprise if it keeps on kicking to the line. I'm going with the South Islander, Dorissimo, as a chance in the race. I think this horse is beautifully placed in a race like today. And Gorbachev, although he's up in the weights, he's just so honest. I like the experience over the 2 miles, and he'll be primed for today as well. But there's a host of chances, Greg, in this year's Cup. Aidan and I are suggesting to you that the good fight is the one to be beating.
All right, nice price, around $6. We're going to have to move on and get your preview of race 10 when race 10 comes up. So let's get how you'd spend your $100 each there on this big day of racing at Trentham.
Okay, we'll start with you, Aidan. What's your thoughts today?
Well, I'm going to try and get my 100 back in the first race with Festivity. I'm liking her, but I'm keen on Lincoln Raider as my best of the program. So 60 a win Festivity, 30 a win on Lincoln Raider. Then I'm going to have 5 on both the Good Fight and Salsa Faye in the Cup. Salsa Faye, my value on the program. I thought the money was, yeah, pretty handy around one who looks an up-and-comer. How'd you play it, Pep?
Prince Albert for me is the best bet on the program. I've just heard through there's an $11,000 bet in the first on Festivity. I really like the chances of Endless Drama, so I've got to have a little bit on there. And I'm going to have a $30 win multi across Prince Albert and Rock On Wood. It wasn't a graveyard last week, Greg. It'll be interesting to see how the program plays out. Our first race on the program, just 18 minutes away. Wellington Cup Day, got to love it. It starts very, very shortly.